crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Good morning, Big Square Roadrunner.com. Good morning, orders these, your sip of chaga coffee. Make sure you drink chaga coffee. Yeah, I mean, as far as the sickness, yeah, you need to build up your defenses, not use their techniques, but vitamin C, vitamin D, chaga, whole list of others, C60, lots of stuff. It's up to you. Don't rely on your government. Don't rely on your doctors. Don't rely on your pharmaceutical companies. They're out to kill you. You need to take responsibility for your own health and your life. And that goes for everything. We are coming to an age where we're not going to be able to turn to our government anymore. The only reason we turn to our government in the coming age is to express our anger, shall we say. Yeah. So I got an email from Clif. He sent it to me and Snippy and JC and my buddy Dick over there in Hawaii. Clif is predicting, his linguistic predictive programs have been saying this for a long time. We're coming into chaos. And the longer this data stays in his reports, the more powerful and meaningful it is. And we are getting to that point where there's huge chaos coming. So he sent an email out to us yesterday saying, brace yourself. I'll read you the email and analyze it as you will. Remember, Clif did 100% predict the COVID situation. And it might not have turned out exactly as his data said. But remember, he's reading what the internet writes in the future. And that's what the internet was writing, the severity and things like that. So I can't talk much about it. Go to roadrunner.com and dive in. But here's what Clif had to say. By the way, there's me and Clif sitting in a Airbnb when I went up to interview him. That's on the Road to Ruta as well. You can just search Clif High on the Road to Ruta. You'll find dozens and maybe 100, over 100. Definitely references, but also interviews and discussions. Great guy, wonderful man. So here's what he said from Clif. This is Sunday. TMs are temporal markers. It means certain markers along the way. When this happens, that set of data probably will happen. So he's been having temporal markers hitting pretty big lately. Anyway, big temporal markers. We are approaching the point where the Alta data had riots with subset of food shortages language leading to the secrets revealed out of government buildings. I understand now why it will happen that disclosure will be temporarily commensurate with the riots and the language about food shortages. I now think it won't happen as the Alta reports had it. Not quite. Same result, riots, government buildings broken into, background language about food shortages, other crops, and release of secrets, including space, alien stuff, and tech. I'm so excited about that. Anyway, but not as the data had me thinking it would emerge. That is, not as a natural outgrowth of the riots. I now have info suggesting that Bix is correct. Hey, check me out. There are good guys, and they will be directing and managing the release of the secrets revealed packages for their own larger purpose, as a means to a greater end. I also think this will happen in mid-August, more likely near the end rather than the beginning. So we've got a little bit of time, a little window to prepare. Several key, minor, but required temporal markers have been manifest. 2 yet remain, but their order of appearance is not certain. So any day, perhaps, going to be effing chaos, guys. Make sure you are where you want to be for a while. If you're on the road to Ruta, you've been prepping and preparing for this moment for a very long time. The funny thing is, a lot of people express to me how tired they are. When's everything going to happen? When's everything going to happen? Remember, when we get into this position where everything happens, you're not going to want to be there. So be happy. You have a little more time to prepare. Prepare meaning I mean, anything over a month worth of food is kind of a waste of time because that type of disruption would probably turn into Mad Max world. There'd be so many riots and so much chaos going on. Hopefully, we're looking at 1 to 2 weeks of chaos. And I see this chaos starting. It will be a banking collapse. I think that's the key. That's the trigger. They've been planning this for well over 100 years. The end of the unbacked fiat money system and a move towards something new and different. I think it's going to be money out of the hands of politicians, out of the hands of central banks, out of the hands of the banking cabal, which means gold, silver, and cryptos. Remember, we have a lot of gold, a hell of a lot of gold. Jeffrey Christian will tell you there's 200,000 tons of gold that's ever been mined in the world. That's literally where that data comes from. Going back to Goldfield's mineral research back in the 60s, they just make this shit up. We know on the road to Ruta, there's so much more gold. Everywhere you turn, there's gold. But they have, amazingly, were able to demonetize gold over the last 50 years or so. And most people don't even recognize gold as money anymore. They probably will very soon. Silver, 50 times as powerful as gold. Silver will be going to a 1-to-1 ratio with gold. Probably maybe even 1 to 10, where silver's worth 10 times as much as gold. Remember, everything has been, it's like pulling the wool over your eyes type of thing. They've been hiding the value of silver in relation to gold for a very long time for very good reasons, because they know that silver is the Achilles heel of the banking cabal. That's why every time they bust the banks for silver manipulation, they don't do anything about it. They don't take JP Morgan out of the picture. JP Morgan got the largest fine by far in the history of commodity crimes, $920 million for rigging the silver and gold markets and U.S. Treasury market. But at the same time, they let them continue to participate and dominate with the largest warehouse. They control the largest stockpile of silver at SLV. And they're the largest player, even though they're not doing it for their own book now. They're doing it for other people like Bank of America, BlackRock, I'll guarantee you, is in there. And they're running it through a company called EWT LLC, which does all the computer rigging on the COMEX. By the way, I listened to Ted Butler's latest on COMEX Silver. We're at the lowest. The 4 commercials are at their lowest short position they've been in like years. So nothing but blue sky up ahead for silver. The question is, will they short as the silver price rises towards $30? If they don't, kiss $30 goodbye. If they do, just 4 traders control this. The CFTC is in on the con. Remember that. If they don't, you're going to see silver go to unknown amounts. If the exchanges stay open, that's the other thing. In this chaos, if banks collapse, there's no price for gold and silver. There's no price for cryptos. The banks collapse, you don't even know what a dollar's worth. Probably highly deflationary. Because remember, the banks hold all the cash, all your cash. If the banks collapse, there's no cash. So there will be a time when people, obviously they'll reconstitute bank accounts and things like that. So make sure you have, if you have money in a bank in the United States that is FDIC insured, make sure it's under the cap of $250,000 per person, per institution. You can get around that by adding beneficiaries to your account. The banks don't like to do that because they're criminal. But it is a little quirky when you add a beneficiary to your account, because that doesn't count as, it counts as an individual. That beneficiary would be the only one on that account. You have to add 2, 3, 4, 5 beneficiaries to your account, to a single account, to get the extra FDIC insurance. So if you have, for example, if you have a joint account and you said, well, I want to add a beneficiary to this account. Well, you and your wife have a joint account. That's $500,000 in coverage. If you add a beneficiary, that's only $250,000 because it's a beneficiary account. But if you add 3 beneficiaries to the same account, like your checking account, that brings it up to $250 or $750 because you have 3. It's a little complicated. They have at the Federal Reserve, FDIC has a calculator that you can calculate that. And it's a great problem to have if you have over 250 grand per person. But now's the time to think about that shit. Because remember, if the banks go down, it's a deflationary event. Now, if they decide to hyper reconstitute and reinflate the monetary system to what it was, you could see hyperinflation, but it would be very difficult to do that, giving back all the derivative money to people and shit like that. The derivatives were the key. That's why Alan Greenspan back in the late 90s fought so desperately not to have derivatives be regulated at all. They wanted to build that edifice so high that if it did collapse, it would collapse everything, and that's what's happening. So hang on tight, my friends. We are coming into the time of chaos. I think every time I come into the September, October, the end of the fiscal year for the United States. So I think definite chaos. Clif's saying earlier, which will probably start, from the past, from my analysis of the Fed comic books. I predicted the Road to Ruta comics came out on January 1st of 2007. This is the redo of the 1981 comic, Wishes and Rainbows. And the Teacher's Guide to Road to Ruta. But January 1st, 2007, it wasn't until a year and a half later that the collapse happened of 2008. And that was September, October timeframe. I think we're going to see this very similar thing, if not exactly the same. But the question is, what will Congress do? Will they bail out the banks again? This time it will be, who knows how many trillions of dollars they need. I don't think it's going to be done. I think the current facade of an administration was put there to be the ones to blame. We couldn't have Trump in there being blamed for the financial collapse. Although he was one of the biggest market riggers ever and biggest money printers ever. People don't talk about that. We deal in reality here on the Road to Ruta. Anyway, so that's where we are. Clif is predicting a lot of chaos. And it's funny because I found an old video I did when I went to interview Clif up in Washington. This is us hanging out in the kitchen. It was just the stormiest day I'd ever seen. And this little Airbnb was on the beach. And I made a video. Of me looking for a Clif. This is literally right near Clif's house on the beach when I was going to interview Clif that day. Check this out. Then you'll crack up. This is hysterical.
Hi, Big Square, RoadToRuta.com, coming to you from northern Washington, where I'm trying to get an interview with Clif High, except the wind is going to whip me out of Washington all the way up to Vancouver. Help! Help! Clif, where are ya?
It was crazy. That was the craziest wind I've ever seen in my life. So I'm like, hey, Amy, I'm going to go out and record a video. She thought I was insane, which I was. Still am. Anyway, thank you, Uncle Clif, for the interview back then. This is 2019. And thank you for all your continued work. Now, remember, Clif reads the data and then interprets it. The data from future internet posts and discussions and news and all that. Most of the time is more dire than what he says because that's the language that really jumps out. The more dire the language. Will we see a huge, massive die-off, or will it just be the reporting of something like that? I don't know. I do hope the good guys know what they're doing. I believe they do, and it won't be as bad as Clif's data has kicking out. But at the same time, it could be that the internet says it is. So stop believing the internet. And with all the censorship, who knows what's real? And I mean, Clif's data is mostly from the old data sets because the internet is so skewed now because of the censorship. It's really sad for America and the rest of the world. But we'll take these guys down, and then we'll have a free internet at some point, which has its own set of issues. Anyway, really interesting note from our friends over at JP Morgan. Remember Jamie Dimon saying, anybody who trades Bitcoin works for me, I'll fire him on the second. Slamming causing the Bitcoin price to rise. And it turned out that, yes, JP Morgan was buying on the dip. How these guys get away with these crimes is, they're bought and paid for. Everybody's bought and paid for within the government. It was never investigated. Of course, nothing's ever investigated when it comes to J.P. Morgan, unless it was Trump who got pissed off that they were screwing with the repo market and then said, "Oh yeah, you do that, and I'll take you down on the silver front." And then it just came out, and you get to pay a fine for thousands, tens of thousands of trades that were each one conspiracy to commit fraud, RICO charges. Amazing that to know the corruption within our financial system. It's really sad, and that's why it has to all be, as Nostradamus says, imitations of gold and silver will be thrown into the lake. I think that's what he was talking about, is the comics and the LBMA fake gold and silver. So we will see soon enough. Crypto prices. Anyway, the thing from JP Morgan is about cryptocurrencies. They're now advising their secret clients to buy cryptocurrencies, of course. But I found it very interesting that not only did they say Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, and other major cryptocurrencies, blah, blah, blah. Look at the only coin they specifically brought out. Spotlight, Coin Spotlight. Theta serves as the native token for the blockchain-driven video sharing platform at the same name. By enabling faster and cheaper transmission of high-definition streaming, the Theta network shows promise of becoming a central part of the entertainment ecosystem. Tesla revealed that as Bitcoin heard, blah, 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 blah. Theta, they specifically brought out Theta, and I'm like, uh-oh, that's usually not good, because then people get into Theta, then they sell. That's what Jamie Dimon does with silver and gold and everything. He tries to tell people to do the opposite so they can sell. But this wasn't that case, because this is just for private clients, and this leaked out. And also, we would have, if this was a situation where Jamie Dimon's just trying to pump Theta for a dump, you would have seen the Theta price run, and the Theta price hasn't been running. It is pretty much on lockdown and goes opposite of what Bitcoin and cryptos do. So the biggest thing for Theta, if you look at the Theta dashboard, it's at thetaboard.io. It'll show you how much is staked. Remember, the beginning of this crypto downturn, Theta was, I think, 56% staked, and Theta ran up to $15 and then crashed down to $4, and now it's hovering around $6. The reality of what was really going on, those are all fake trades on the exchanges. The reality, if you look at Theta, the percentage staked is now 66%. So it went up 10% and those are strong hands. And then you're going to get a little extra kicker of T-drop if you are staking Theta. Now, currently, I love Theta Fuel as well. The payouts are much higher in Theta Fuel for staking your Theta Fuel. The ratio is at 19-1. I think that's too high. So if I was buying right now, I'd be buying Theta Fuel. But Theta, you absolutely want to own Theta. And this was one of the things I said early on, when people said, "Bix, you got to get into Theta Fuel." And that was when the ratio was 100-1. But I said, at the end of the day, Theta is going to be much stronger than Theta Fuel, because Theta is going to be the governance token. They can create Theta Fuel, do an airdrop for nothing, or create other tokens. And that's just what they have done with T-drop. So definitely have Theta, definitely have Theta Fuel. You should be staking both of them. But again, what's going to happen when Theta goes up to 85, 90% staked? How about 95% staked? How about 100% staked? If all the Theta tokens were staked, these criminal exchanges theoretically would be called out, because they are criminal. They don't trade Theta. A lot of people commented that Simple Swap no longer was offering Theta and Theta Fuel. I think they are now, to swap for Bitcoin or Litecoin. Great way to get it. Or you can call my friends at Caleb and Brown. Set up a Caleb and Brown account. They, by the way, have a U.S. banking relationship now, so you don't have to go through Australia, wire money to Australia, which your banks, what are you doing? Fuck banks. Banks suck. So yeah, you can get Theta through Caleb and Brown. And on the Road to Ruta, we teach you how to store it, buy it, store it, and stake it on the private road. All right. So yeah, Theta and Theta Fuel are the call. I think when the system collapses, we're not going to know what anything's worth. You're going to want your assets in your own possession. I think it'll only be bad for a couple weeks, which is bad. A lot of rioting, a lot of looting, a lot of fires in big cities. And yeah, we got out of the big city. Finally, after talking about it for, I don't know how many years, at least 10 on my part. So we got out of the big city because it was time. We left our friends there. We said, hey, you got a place to crash. You need to get out. We are, they know where I live. All right, moving on. This weekend I posted a Friday road trip, a private road trip, we're calling it now. The Jenny Moonstone reading got delayed till this week. We're going to do a lot more private road stuff now because I'm so sick of the censorship. I can say anything I want on private road posts. So I did. So go to roadtoruta.com. This is under road trips. And so if you go back to the private road, if you're a private road member, there's the Theta page. There's the Jenny Moonstone readings. A Theta price speculation graph. I think this is it got delayed 2 months because of the 3.0 delay, but I think it's pretty spot on. A great post by Paige Uncensored, all those interested in what's going on behind the scenes. And then there's, I think it's under this, actually. It's under Ruta's Road to the Future. You click on that, and it's the road trips. There you go. That's it. All right, to join the private road, go to roadtoruta.com and click subscribe today. I will send you a free Ruta silver coin jumping up and down on a silver brick road, cave of gold in the Grand Canyon. And like Clif said, I'm right. He said a little part of what I said was right, which is there are good guys behind the scenes. That's what Road to Ruta is all about. It is a positive message. This is long before Q that I understood all this stuff through the research at the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston. And it is happening. It hasn't stopped. It is continuing. So join the private road, get behind the scenes action. It's $2.99 for a year, less than $1 a day. And I'll send you a silver coin to your front door. This is Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com. I'll talk to you later.
Well, you start with Bitcoin and you know nothing. You make your first wallet and you think you got something. Secure your private keys and you don't. All your coins will be gone. Now you're a coiner and it's time to learn on. For banking tech, social net, cryptos are hard. But you gotta get your feet wet. Gotta get your mind set for change. And it's the way of the crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way. The way of the crypto warriors, after all the crazy politics fade away, you got something to say. Live a crypto warrior way. There's Kenny Bozak, he'll show up in your town. No fiat in his pocket, always dressed like a clown. But he pulls out his phone, always pays for what he owes in crypto. Big old John Kim erases all Charlie's doom. Satoshi lied his feeling right with John in chat rooms. And he takes care of Litecoin. We know it's the right one for change. It's the way of the crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way. The way of the crypto warriors, after all the crazy politics fade away, you got something to say. Live a crypto warrior way. Well, let me tell you about my friend. His name is Bitcoin Ben, a truck driving man. Everybody loves him, and he's spreading the word. He shares what he heard, secret plan. And there's Snippy by Joe, can't miss the J-Snip show. Cause I confess the treasure chest goes on the know. He teaches us tech, cause he's seen a few wrecks of go slow. It's the way of the crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The Way of the crypto warriors can't rely on the bankers, no way. Way of the crypto warriors, after all the crazy politics fade away, you got something to say. Live a crypto warrior way. 'Cause everybody wants to be a hero, and everybody has dreams of a better day. But if everybody knew we could change everything that we do, then everybody'd live a crypto warrior way. And everybody'd live a crypto warrior way. And you can live a crypto warrior way.
Yeah! That was great.